Veterans Memorial Park. The area where Matthew went missing specifically was at about State and Alamosa. Police investigators have been looking for him again since about 5:45 last night. This missing 5-year-old was last seen wearing gray Batman pajamas. He's about 3 feet tall, 30 pounds, black hair, brown eyes. Again, we are waiting to learn more information from Boise police about what happened here in this situation. I know that our Jude Binkley is on scene right now, so he will be able to ask some questions to investigators as we start this news conference that we are expecting to start here at about 11 o'clock. It's a minute after that right now. This news conference was supposed to start right at 11 o'clock. It was pushed back, and then we were told that it was going to start at 11. But again, you are watching breaking news coverage here. We're awaiting a news conference on a missing Boise boy. Again, 5-year-old Matthew, a nonverbal child that has been missing since 5:45 last night. We know that deep into the night, really overnight hours as well, the community, dozens and dozens of people were searching for this boy in this area. We don't want to speculate about what happened, but we do know that there are parts of this neighborhood that are deeply wooded. There are some canals. There's a lot of busy streets. So there's a lot of questions from the community and from investigators about what exactly happened here. But first and foremost, we know that the community, the extended community, I've seen messages on social media from people driving into Boise to help with the search last night. We know that search teams were out late last night, even into the late night hours, even though we do have a lot of sunlight this time of year in Idaho. It did get dark, about 10, 11 o'clock last night. I do understand from investigators and from people that were out there that overnight, for the most part, the search was called off because it was too dark and too difficult to continue. But I know that folks were out there early this morning. We're not exactly sure what type of update we're going to get from Boise police. We do know that they are leading this investigation. Boise police actually is the ones that put out a social media alert yesterday that was basically describing the situation. It came out about 15 hours at this point. The original Facebook and social media message from Boise police asking if anybody had seen Matthew, the 5-year-old wearing gray Batman pajamas. Anyone with information was asked to call Ada County Dispatch. At this point, again, if for any reason that this rings a bell, that you saw a child yesterday in the State Street area, maybe around VMP, maybe more closely to Alamosa, State Street and Alamosa, which is the area that we're looking at over here. If you were to go further west down State Street, so continue past this police car that you're looking at, the Willow Lane Sports Complex is in this area. There's a few apartment complexes, a few businesses on the other side of State Street. So a lot of eyes out there in the community. Of any chance that you saw a young boy who you can see here, this is the 5-year-old Matthew. If he looks familiar, maybe you saw him wandering around yesterday evening around State Street. They are looking for any information at this point. If the pictures you're seeing of Matthew right now look familiar, you are asked to call Ada County Dispatch 208-377-6790. Again, this is Matthew. He's a 5-year-old wearing gray Batman pajamas the last time he was seen. Matthew is nonverbal, and the information from Boise police, again, that was put out about 15 hours ago, was that 5-year-old Matthew walked away from his home near State Street in Alamosa around 5:45 yesterday evening. Again, he walked away is the way that Boise police have described this. Again, as it is a nonverbal child, that does make the situation a little more complicated. So we are again standing by as the community, and I've seen a lot of messages really across social media from the Boise area, the Treasure Valley area. The community is very concerned about this little boy, and we're seeing some traffic come in and out of this parking lot. I'm not exactly sure if this parking lot is actually the True Hope Church parking lot, or if this is actually one of the apartment complexes nearby. If you're familiar with this area, the Terry's is across the street. You can see over there in the top right-hand corner of your screen. This is, again, State Street that you're watching the traffic come down in the east direction. So we are standing by here with Boise police ready to do a news conference. We were under the impression this was going to start at 11 o'clock. So we are going to circle back here in just a moment. I'm going to take a look at some of my notes here and see if there's anything else we can relay to you here in the next few moments. So we are going to step aside just for a second. we will keep this shot up, and we will rejoin you here in just a few minutes as, again, we are waiting a news conference about a missing Boise boy, 5-year-old Matthew, a nonverbal child that walked away from home at about 5:45 last night on State Street and Alamosa, again, just down the road from State and VMP. He was last seen wearing Batman pajamas that were gray. The young man has black hair and brown eyes. Again, we are standing by for a news conference. We'll step aside, but we'll keep this live shot up for you just for another few minutes. You are watching breaking news coverage here of a missing Boise boy. We are actually standing by for a news conference with Boise police. This was supposed to be originally at 11 o'clock, but we understand that it was pushed off for a number of reasons. We're not exactly sure what those reasons are, but if you are just tuning in or you're just finding out about this situation, the community and investigators continue to search for this boy you see right here. This is 5-year-old Matthew. Investigators tell tell us that he is a nonverbal child that has been missing since about 5:45 last night. We understand that he walked away from his home and was reported missing about 5:45. The area that the news conference is being held, you might recognize that is the True Hope Church right off of State Street. State Street in Alamosa is where investigators say that this 5-year-old Matthew walked away from home. If you're unfamiliar with the area, State Street, this is actually right down the road from Veterans Memorial Park. In the top right-hand corner of your screen, you may recognize Terry's. So that is State Street going east and west that you're seeing up there, and the Boise police cars are lined up here as we are waiting a news conference. A little bit more about Matthew. Here's what we know from investigators. Again, the 5-year-old walked away from his home about 5:45 last night. He was last seen wearing Batman pajamas, gray ones. He's a little taller than 3 feet, and we understand he's probably about 30 pounds. Investigators tell us that he has black hair and brown eyes. We're trying to figure out more information about what this news conference is going to cover. Again, we are standing by. I understand that some Boise Fire, Boise police officials are just getting on scene there for the news conference. So a fluid situation. A little bit of backstory if you're just joining us. This alert came in about 15 hours ago from Boise police, originally asking anybody with information to call Ada County Dispatch. You can see here up on your map, right off of Alamosa Street and State Street. So it's actually very close to where the news conference is. If you look at this map here, you may recognize some of the areas kind of near the Willow Lane Sports Complex that you would see south, really on the bottom left of your screen there. This is pretty adjacent to the neighborhood. There's a number of other parks. The Boise River and some neighborhoods are even further south to this area. And then, of course, as you can see on the right side of your screen, a lot of homes and a lot of neighborhoods are over in this area as well. Investigators, though, again, about 15 hours ago, asking the community for some help, looking for this child. From what I've seen on social media and heard from, family members and I should say friends and family in the community that I know personally, they were out into the late night hours in this area searching for Matthew. Again, the alert came in just before 6 o'clock. I saw some videos and pictures of people out pretty late last night into the darkness, I guess past 10 o'clock, even 11 o'clock. We do understand, though, from investigators, from an official lens, as well as community members that were just out there late into the night, that at a certain point overnight, they did have to kind of call off the search and then start up again this morning when it was light again. We are, though, waiting for some information. You can see our photographer there. He is getting ready, and he's turning on the microphone, it looks like, and I'm told that we are going to start this news conference shortly. Again, if you're just joining us, you are watching breaking news coverage as we're waiting for a news conference that is going to hopefully give us more information about the missing Boise boy, a 5-year-old boy, nonverbal, that's been missing since 5:45 last night. We know there's a lot of concern from across our community. We've seen messages from across the Treasure Valley and really even outside of that, messages of hope, messages of support. Not a lot of information out there right now, so that's why we're standing by for this news conference. I also know that our Jude Binkley, he is on scene. This is in the parking lot of the True Hope Church that is just off of State Street. Again, the area where the boy went missing was State Street and Alamosa, which is very close to where that exact location where the news conference is going to actually happen. We were given about a 2 or 3 minute heads up at this point. So yeah, let's take a look at some of these pictures and the area we're talking about. Again, if the boy you see on your screen right now, on the right side of your screen, this is 5-year-old Matthew. If he looks familiar, maybe you saw him yesterday in the State Street area, maybe even as far down as the Collister area, please call Ada County Dispatch, the non-emergency number. And if it is an emergency for any reason, of course, always call 911. But anyone with any information about Matthew is asked to call Ada County Dispatch. That number again is 208 377-6790. In situations like this, as we're showing you video from some of the search that has been going on, in situations like this, though, I've talked to investigators for years in our area, and they tell me that sometimes they find that people in the general public think that the information they have is not big enough or it's not helpful, and they don't want to overwhelm investigators. In any situation, especially a situation like this, the investigators I've spoken with, police and law enforcement, say that every piece of information helps. So if you have any information at all, or maybe you have an idea of where Matthew could have been headed, or maybe you saw him, please let Ada County Dispatch know. This is the Boise Police Chief, Ron Winegar. We will take this live news conference right now.
And I'm the Chief of Police here in Boise, and we are here to update you on some information and to tell you about what we have been doing in the search for a missing boy. Young Matthew Glynn, 5 years old, went missing yesterday afternoon, early evening. About 5:52 p.m., our patrol officers responded to a call near this location for Matthew. He's a white male juvenile. He is about 2.5 feet tall. He's got brown hair. He was wearing Batman pajamas with a yellow collar, and he was attending his 5th birthday party with his family and friends yesterday. He is nonverbal and he has autism, and he walked away or wandered away from that party. Matthew has not been seen by anybody since then, and we responded with initially patrol officers, but very soon after created a large-scale search effort involving a number of people and a number of entities, not only immediately but throughout the night and continuing into today. A little bit about Matthew, if you see him. He may make loud noises as a way to get people's attention. He is drawn to water. He walks on his toes, and he does not have any shoes on that we know of at this time. I spoke with Matthew's mother just a few minutes ago. Understandably, she is very distraught and is overwhelmed and praying and hoping for the safe recovery of Matthew, as are we all. After the initial response from our patrol officers and the search began last night, every available resource that we could call on was brought to bear. We had drones and have had drones searching throughout the night. Idaho Mountain Search and Rescue personnel responded immediately and began to help. They provided tracking dogs, ATVs, UTVs. Every resource has been engaged in this search. The Boise Fire Department responded. They have been searching. We have certainly concentrated on every potential place that Matthew could be found, including waterways in the area. Last night we sent out what's called a code red message. It's a phone alert to people in the area. So for a 5-mile radius around here, a message went out to every available cell phone and landline. We believe we reached approximately 69,000 people through that effort, and they expanded that and sent an additional message out this morning to an 8-mile radius around this location. Boise Fire Department personnel walked the canal last night. They're doing it again tonight. They have a number of resources. Chief Mark Niemeyer will detail some of the efforts the fire department has been making, and we are also grateful for the support of the Idaho Mountain Search and Rescue folks who have been out searching, and you'll hear from one of their directors here shortly. We have been doing door-to-door searches, asking people to be able to get into their backyards and look at virtually everywhere we can. We have a partnership, and we train together with our local law enforcement entities and agencies around us. We have what's called a CART team, a child abduction response team that has been activated, and those personnel are here working. I want to make a note that just because a child abduction response team has been activated does not mean we have any reason to believe that Matthew has been abducted. We don't have any signs of foul play. We don't have any signs that he has entered the water. We don't have really anything to indicate where he might be at this time, but we are looking at every possibility and trying to cover every base as we search for Matthew. Obviously, this is one of the, if not the highest priority in the city right now. We have activated virtually every personnel member that we can. So detectives, community outreach personnel, patrol officers, you name it, we have people here and helping and working on the search. And our partners from Garden City, Ada County Sheriff's Office, Meridian Police are all here as well, Idaho State Police. We thank them for their efforts and for them sending personnel, because this is a very large priority for us. Detectives are looking for any evidence or information regarding criminal activity or an abduction, but there is no indication of that at this time, just so everybody knows. I mentioned earlier I spoke with Matthew's mother. She has been very cooperative and helpful in the search, and we have every reason to believe that she is doing her level best to help us answer questions and give us every bit of information we can have to make this search successful. Our heart goes out to her and to her family members, certainly in this time of overwhelming trial and a difficult time as she worries about her son. Just a bit about the search area right now. We are focusing our efforts again on the area immediately around us, but we are searching the waterways between Veterans Memorial Parkway all the way to Eagle at this point. So the other folks will tell you a little bit more about those efforts. And I would turn the time over to Chief Niemeyer right now to talk about Boise Fire's efforts and the things we're doing collaboratively with them. Chief Niemeyer.
Great. Thank you, Chief Winegar. Good morning, everyone. Mark Niemeyer, Fire Chief for the Boise Fire Department. As Chief Winegar alluded to last night, the Boise Fire Department was dispatched along with BPD to the report of a missing child. We sent approximately 15 firefighters to this location. That included 2 fire engines, a brush truck, as well as our dive team out of Station 1 in downtown. When they arrived, they immediately developed a plan to search the canalways. I do want to reiterate at this time, we had no information that the child was in the water. There's no evidence that would suggest the child was in the water. However, as part of our broad search, we entered the waterways on the downstream side. We do have about 300 yards of the canal that runs under State Street. This was a very risky operation for our dive team. They used snorkel masks, had about 24 to 36 inches of clearance from the top of the water to the bottom of State Street as they searched that canal. We concluded about 10 o'clock last night. We did not find any victims. We concluded that search because of darkness and the inability to see. As Chief Winegar alluded to, we are back out joining the search party today. We do have our dive team on the river. They have been going up and down the river from, as Chief Winegar alluded to, VMP to Eagle. We'll continue to do that search. The Boise Fire Department, along with the other responders, remain committed to conducting this search until we find this child. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dave with Idaho Mountain Search and Rescue, and then we'll be back for questions.
Good morning. I'm Ron Christensen with Idaho Mountain Search and Rescue. We responded last night to the request from Boise Police. We came out with 30 personnel last night. We had mountain bike teams covering parts of the Greenbelt through some of the local neighborhoods. We had drones in the air in conjunction with those flown by BPD. We also used UTVs with flashing lights and attractants. That's one of the things that Matthew has interest in, and so we wanted to use that, as well as we played a song that he's very familiar with and responds to, and that's that the wheels on the big bus go round and round. And so we'll probably be implementing some of those efforts again today. Right at the moment, we've got personnel along with BPD personnel that are working part of the Boise Valley Canal, and then we've got a inflatable kayak with also another member of BPD that is floating the Farmers Union Canal from Collister up towards Eagle. We're going to be putting some additional resources into some areas that we did search last night, because statistics show us that you don't just search an area once, because daylight now gives us a different light than what we had seen last night. So we will be searching some of those areas once again. So Just grateful for any information that the community might have that they can provide us. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron, and thank you, Chief Niemeyer. I would now like to give a message to the members of our public. What do we need from you? First of all, we have set up a tip line specifically for Matthew. The number is 208-373-5411. Again, 208-373-5411. That is a tip line specifically for tips related to Matthew. It will be staffed by Boise police personnel. You don't need to go through dispatch or call dispatch, although you can always do that for sure. If you have a tip about Matthew, we would ask you to use this tip line specifically. If you live anywhere in this area, please check Ring or security doorbell cameras. Any surveillance systems or cameras you may have at your home or a business that may have picked up Matthew somewhere in the last 15 or 17 hours. Please check for your cameras for that. Anyone with property near the canals along State Street towards Eagle are asked to check their surroundings and their property, including the canal banks and nearby brush. There are two canals, the Boise Valley Canal and the Farmers Union Canal, that we are certainly looking at. At this time, we do not have any assignments available for members of the general public to help with the search. Once we do a coordinated search of the canal banks with the tracking dogs and the trained personnel, we will, if we believe a public search, a wider search is necessary, we will put out a plea for volunteers to come at that time, and we will be prepared to organize and direct their efforts. At this time, we do not have that capability or that necessity in our estimation. So we would ask people not to come and try to search on their own. But if you happen to be walking in the area, you're on the green belt, you're anywhere in the neighborhood, please keep your eyes open for Matthew. I'm sure his picture will be widely circulated after this. And keep an eye open for him or any indication or sign that he has been near where you are. So we greatly appreciate our partners. We thank everyone who is making the effort to bring Matthew home safe. We are committed to doing our best to do just that. But we know that any possibility could be in existence at this time, and so we are asking for everyone to pay attention, keep their eyes open, and help us find Matthew and bring him home to his family safely. At this time, I'll be happy to try and answer any questions you have. Don?
Chief, how long are you going to keep the command center here at the church, and can we expect press conferences throughout the day?
We will likely actually be moving our main command post to a different location, but we will keep personnel here and probably keep the command post trailer here and so forth. So if we do updates, it'll probably be from this location. I would imagine in the future we'll let you know if that changes. And we will update you again later today. I don't know exactly what time, but we really need to make sure we've searched some areas again and then have a plan moving forward so that we have some new information to share if we come back to you.
Who was the last person to see Matthew, to your knowledge?
To my knowledge, it was his mother or family members there at the party. That's the last time we definitively had someone see Matthew was there at the party. Yes, sir. Is it common to receive calls? We respond to lost child calls fairly routinely, yes. In the vast majority of circumstances, we find the missing child within a fairly short time, within a few hours. I don't know exactly what the statistics are, but the vast majority of time we find them before now. So that's why this is unusual for us, and that's why we are deploying so many resources. Once it gets late at night, we have particular challenges in these types of situations, but if it goes through an entire night and into the next day, we absolutely devote a lot of resources to a situation like this. Yes?
Yesterday's release said that Matthew walked off. Can you explain why you're leaning towards walked off?
We just don't have any indication, no witnesses, no anything that would indicate that he has been abducted. We are certainly taking that into account. We are looking at that as a possibility, but we don't have anything that would lead us to believe that at this time. Yes, sir. When I spoke with Matthew's mother, she didn't give any indication that he's done this before, but certainly, and I'm speaking generally, not about Matthew now, but children with autism always present different challenges and things, and can be adventurous, if you will. So they are heartbroken at this time and just overwhelmed, hoping that we find him. Any other questions? Don?
Maybe one of the other two gentlemen can address this. Could you explain it? I know you haven't been in any area, but we know about the issues in the canal. We talk about it every summer.
Yep.
Explain the process, the procedure. You go out, work your way back in, or you start here, work your way out?
Yeah, good question, John. Last night when our crews arrived, we did a quick situational awareness analysis of where we wanted to search and how we wanted to search. The crews at that time, the dive team, made the decision to start on the downstream side and work their way up. And that's typically what we'll do, is start downstream of where we believe somebody might be and then work our way up, and then also have crews walking and work their way down, so we somewhat meet in the middle. But we usually always start downstream when we start that search.
What was the time frame between when the family realized he was missing and they called police?
Frankly, I do not have the answer to that question. I'm not sure how long he was missing before they called, but I don't believe it was very long.
And can you explain the difference between an Amber Alert and a Code Red, and why the latter was used in this situation?
Sure. A code red is simply a phone notification that goes out to people in a certain radius around an event, and it's to notify folks of an event so that they're aware of it and can keep an eye out. An Amber Alert is specific to an abduction. So if a child is abducted, and traditionally, most of the time it's used when it's a stranger abduction, not just a family member or someone who knows the child. So we do not have anything that would indicate the use of an Amber Alert in this situation, and that's why it was not used and not deployed. It is also broadcast at a much wider area, particularly looking for vehicles and license plates of vehicles. That kind of thing is usually a big part of an Amber Alert, a suspect description. We don't have any of those things in play right now. Yes?
Could you reiterate again what people can do now as far as checking cameras and yards?
Yes, please, if you live in the area, please check your surveillance cameras, any doorbell cameras, things like that, and review the footage to see if Matthew may have been caught in the frame at some point since last night at 5:52 p.m. We would ask people to look on their property specifically. You know your property best, and look in all the nooks and crannies that anyone could be, and just keep in mind a small child can be in a place that seems impossible. So whether it's in containers or in sheds or in brush or anything on your property, we would ask people to make a search of their own property, and if they find something or any indication that somebody may have been there, please call the tip line that we established. Thank you. With that, we thank you for your attention and your help, and we look forward to finding Matthew safe. That is everyone's goal today, and we will keep you updated if we have any further developments and let you know as soon as we can. Thank you.
That was a news conference with Boise Police. That was Boise Police Chief Ron Winegar again sharing as much information as they could as the search continues for 5-year-old Matthew Glynn. We have learned that he is a nonverbal autistic child that wandered away from home. We learned that he wandered away from his birthday party about 5:45 yesterday night in the area of State Street in Alamosa. This is down the street from VMP in State. A little more information from Chief Winegar. We know that the young man is wearing Batman pajamas that are gray. We now know that has a yellow collar. Again, black hair, brown eyes. Again, a small guy, five years old, Matthew Glynn, about 3 feet tall, 30 pounds. Boise police and investigators, which also include the Ada County Sheriff's Office, Garden City Police, Meridian Police, Idaho State Police, Idaho Mountain Rescue, they continue to search for Matthew at this time. Some information from BPD, though. They are asking that they don't need the public's help right now. They don't need volunteers. They are working through with major crews from Boise Police and Boise Fire and those other agencies that I did just mention. One thing they are asking the people in this area and people really around State Street, if you have a Ring doorbell camera or you have some type of surveillance video, if you could review that video really going back till about 5:45 yesterday to see if it's possible if Matthew went through your area. There's no evidence of where he went. Out of a, I guess, precaution, Boise Fire responded extremely quickly last night with their dive team, and they had 15 firefighters that started walking the canal and start looking through some of these canals and waterways which are in the neighborhood. However, I do want to repeat, there is no evidence, there's no indication that Matthew went to the water. We know from his family that he is attracted to going towards water, but Boise Fire was just looking out of precaution. We did also learn from Boise Police that no foul play is suspected at this time. Again, it just appears that this 5-year-old, this nonverbal autistic child, walked away from a party, his birthday party. His family was unable to find him, and they called police rather quickly. We understand that Boise Police was able to get there in about 5 or 6 minutes from the original call. That code red alert that so many of you got, it went out to more than 70,000 people in an 8-mile range between last night and this morning. Boise Fire and other rescue teams continue to search from VMP all the way down to Eagle. Of course, the Boise River and canals, they run all the way through the Treasure Valley, so they are keeping an eye out for that. There are drones out there. There are dogs. Boise Fire, again, searching through the waterways. They also did what's being called, I guess, a dangerous operation, looking through the underground canals that are right there on State Street. They actually go under the street. They were out there in snorkel gear last night looking through anything they could, and they did not find anything at all. Of note, Boise Police also went ahead and they started a specific hotline for people to call if they have any information about Matthew or his disappearance. That phone number is on the bottom of your screen, area code 208-373-5411. If you know anything at all or you think you saw anything, please call this tip line to help investigators. Again, this is 5-year-old Matthew Glynn. There is frankly not a lot of information about what possibly happened, so they are asking the public again to search through their Ring doorbell video, and if you have any information, please call that resource line, that tip line. We are going to step aside, but again, we will have some updates for you as soon as they come through. We did hear that Boise Police may possibly have another news conference later today. If they do have that, we will bring you the information from it, and we will continue to update the story at ktvb.com and on the KTVB app throughout the day. Again, the community continues to search for 5-year-old Matthew Glynn. We will check back in with you as soon as we have new information.